The rain hammered against the hospital window like 1,000 tiny fists trying to break in. New York City blurred beyond the glass, neon lights bleeding into puddles 32 floors below. Anya Chen lay motionless in the narrow bed, skin pale as paper, oxygen mask fogging with each shallow breath. Machines beeped in steady rhythm, counting down what little time she had left. At the foot of the bed stood Jack Miller Tall, impeccably dressed even at this hour, his dark hair perfectly styled, jaw sharp enough to cut glass. He didn't look at her. He stared out at the storm instead, hands buried deep in the pockets of his tailored coat. "You know," he said quietly, voice smooth and cold, "in your next life, don't cling to me again." The words landed like a slap. Anya's eyes fluttered open one last time. She wanted to scream, to claw at him, to remind him that she had poured half a liter of her own blood into his veins the night of his crash, that her body had never recovered, that every winter since had felt like knives in her bones. But her throat only managed a faint rasp. Jack didn't turn around. He simply walked out, the door clicking shut behind him like the final period at the end of a sentence. Then everything went black. Sirens. Loud, piercing, close. Anya jolted awake in her downtown Manhattan apartment, heart slamming against her ribs. The clock on the nightstand glowed 2:17 a.m. Rain still lashed the windows. Same storm, same night, except she wasn't dying. She was 26 again, healthy, strong. The day of Jack's accident. The day everything began to go wrong in her first life. Her phone buzzed violently on the dresser, screen lighting up with missed calls from her mother, from Jack's mother, from numbers she hadn't seen in years. She stared at it, breath catching. This wasn't a dream. She had come back. Anya swung her legs over the side of the bed, bare feet hitting cool hardwood. Memories flooded in years, compressed into seconds. The blood donation that wrecked her immune system. Jack waking up and accusing her of sabotaging his brakes to trap him into marriage. The slow poison of his resentment. The way he smiled at Willa Johnson while Anya wasted away. And finally, his parting words at her deathbed. She walked to the mirror. The woman staring back was young, eyes bright, cheeks flushed, not the skeletal ghost she'd become. A slow, dangerous smile curved her lips. "Not this time," she whispered. "This time, you bleed alone." The phone kept ringing. She watched Mom flash across the screen, thumb hovering. In her old life, she had answered immediately, rushed to the hospital, signed the consent forms, rolled up her sleeve without hesitation. This time she pressed decline, powered the phone off completely, and tossed it onto the bed. She pulled on a sleek black dress that hugged her curves. The one Jack used to say made her look expensive, slipped into heels, grabbed her clutch, and walked out the door without looking back. By 3 a.m., she was sliding onto a stool at the Violet Hour, an exclusive rooftop bar in Soho where the beautiful and the ruthless came to play. Bass thumped through her chest. Strobe lights painted everything violet and gold. Her best friend Nina Simmons was already there, red hair wild, whiskey in hand, surrounded by male models like a queen holding court. "Thought you'd be at the hospital holding your fiancé's hand," Nina shouted over the music, eyebrow arched. Anya signaled the bartender for a double tequila. "Change of plans." Nina studied her, sharp green eyes narrowing. "You look different. I feel different." Anya clinked her glass against Nina's. "Tonight I'm celebrating. Celebrating what freedom." They drank, danced, laughed louder than the music. Men bought rounds, pressed close, whispered promises against her ear. Anya let them. She let the night blur into skin and sweat and expensive cologne. Every laugh was a small rebellion. Every shot burned away another memory of hospital beds and Jack's disgusted stares. At some point, she found herself on the dance floor, arms above her head, body moving like someone who had nothing left to lose because she didn't. She had already lost everything once. This time she was taking it all back, starting with herself. Dawn was bleeding across the skyline when she finally stumbled into a cab. Her phone, powered back on, exploded with notifications, 47 missed calls, frantic texts from both families. First City Hospital, massive blood loss, critical condition, need you now. She read them without emotion, then typed a single message to Nina. "Round 2 tonight." The reply came instantly. "Hell yes." Anya leaned her head against the cool window as the cab sped uptown. Somewhere in that hospital, Jack Miller was fighting for his life, and for the first time in 2 lifetimes. She wasn't going to be the one who saved him. Morning light sliced through the blinds of Anya's apartment like accusations. She woke with a mild hangover and a crystal-clear mind. The phone on her nightstand showed another barrage of messages. She showered, dressed in simple jeans and a white silk blouse innocent, concerned fiancé attire, and drove to First City Hospital. She knew exactly what she would find. She had lived this scene before. The waiting area outside the OR was chaos wrapped in fluorescent lighting. Jack's parents stood huddled together, faces gray with terror. Her own mother rushed over the moment Anya appeared, gripping her arms. "Where were you?" "We called all night, phone died." Anya lied smoothly, eyes wide and apologetic. "I came as soon as I saw the messages." "How is he, Mrs. Miller?" Lisa turned. Mascara streaked down her cheeks. "He's still in surgery. Lost so much blood. They keep asking for family consent for transfusion." A doctor emerged, clipboard in hand, expression grim. "We need a direct donation or immediate compatible units. Who can sign?" In her first life, Anya had stepped forward without hesitation, even though she was still recovering from pneumonia. She had given 500 cc, nearly passing out afterward, smiling weakly while everyone praised her devotion. Jack had proposed 3 days later out of guilt. She later learned, not love. This time she stayed back, half hidden behind her mother, watching silently as panic spread. Mr. Miller tried calling old friends, powerful men who owed him favors. One by one they declined. Jack's arrogance over the years had burned every bridge. Lisa grew frantic, voice cracking as she begged distant cousins, business associates, anyone. Anya slipped into the stairwell, peering through the narrow window in the door. She saw Lisa on the phone, voice dropping to a whisper, arranging something discreet outside the main entrance, black market blood. Untested, cheap, dangerous. Anya's lips curved. She knew what came next, no immediate rejection, but slow complications, chronic issues that would eat Jack alive over years. Exactly what her own body had endured after giving him clean, safe blood. Hours later, Jack was out of surgery, stable enough to move to ICU. Anya lingered long enough to offer tearful hugs and promises to return soon, then left before anyone could press her again about donating. That evening, she met Nina at a different bar lower key, jazz in the background, dim amber lighting. So Nina asked, sliding a martini across the table, "How's Prince Charming alive?" Anya replied, "For now." Nina waited. She knew when to push and when to listen. Anya swirled her drink. "He woke up long enough to tell his parents Willa was supposed to donate, but I stopped her outside the hospital. Apparently, I'm the villain who tampered with his brakes to force marriage." Nina's jaw dropped. "He actually believes that he wants to believe it. Makes it easier to hate me for saving him." Nina cursed colorfully. "You're really not giving blood this time. Not a drop." The next afternoon, Anya returned to the hospital, bringing flowers like a dutiful fiancé. Jack had been moved to a private room. Through the half-open door, she heard soft laughter, Willa's syrupy voice, Jack's low murmur in response. Anya pushed the door wider. Willa sat perched on the edge of the bed, hand resting possessively on Jack's arm. Bandages wrapped his torso, stitches visible on dark skin where the worst wounds had been closed. He looked fragile in a way Anya had never seen, pale beneath his natural tone, eyes shadowed. Yet when he saw her, the old contempt flared instantly. "Took you long enough," he snapped. "Where were you when I was bleeding out?" Anya set the flowers on the side table. "My phone died. I was worried sick." Willa offered a saccharine smile. "We managed. Jack's a fighter." "Yes," Anya said softly, meeting Jack's eyes. "He always is." Jack waved a dismissive hand, wincing at the pull on his stitches. "You can go. Willa's here now?" Anya nodded once, turned, and walked out without another word. In the hallway, she leaned against the wall, breathing steady. The old Anya would have crumbled. This Anya felt nothing but cold satisfaction. That night, the news broke on social media photos of Jack down on one knee in the hospital courtyard. Ring extended toward Willa beneath strings of fairy lights. Caption declaring undying love. Comments exploded romantic, envious, vicious. Anya scrolled through them in the back of another cab headed downtown. Expression unreadable. Nina met her at the door of yet another club, arms crossed. "Tell me you're not hurting." "I'm not," Anya said, and realized it was true. "I'm just getting started." The city moved on as if nothing had changed. Yellow cabs slicing through wet streets, billboards flashing promises no one believed. But inside Anya, something had shifted permanently. She stood in her walk-in closet the morning after seeing Jack dismiss her at the hospital, staring at rows of dresses she had bought to please him's soft pastels, modest cuts, nothing too bold. She pulled them all down in one furious sweep, stuffed them into charity bags, and replaced them with sharp tailoring. Deep reds, black leather. The old Anya dressed to be loved. The new Anya dressed to be feared. Her mother called while she was downtown at a boutique, voice trembling with worry. Jack's parents are devastated. He's talking about ending the engagement publicly. Anya handed her card to the cashier without flinching. "Let him..." Silence on the line. "You don't mean that." "I do." She walked out into the crisp autumn air, phone pressed to her ear. "Mom, I've spent years bending until I broke. I'm done." That evening, the Miller family hosted an emergency dinner at their Upper East Side townhouse marble floors, crystal chandeliers, old money dripping from every surface. Anya arrived late on purpose, heels clicking slowly across the foyer. Everyone was already seated, Jack in a wheelchair pushed by a private nurse. Willa at his side wearing a triumphant little smile. Mr. and Mrs. Miller looking 10 years older overnight. Conversation halted when she entered. Jack's eyes narrowed. "Nice of you to show up." Anya took the empty chair across from him, unfolded her napkin with deliberate calm. "I considered not coming at all." Mrs. Miller reached for her hand. "Sweetheart, we can fix this. Jack's been through trauma. Anya's voice cut clean and cold. "I seem to recall giving half a liter of blood while running a fever last time he needed saving. Funny how that trauma never gets mentioned." Willa laughed lightly, a sound like breaking glass. "No one's forcing you to stay engaged. Anya, if you're feeling guilty..." "Guilty." Anya turned to her slowly. "Why would I feel guilty for refusing to bleed again for someone who thanked me by calling me obsessive?" Jack slammed his palm on the table, plates rattling. "You tampered with my brakes. You trapped me." Anya met his glare without blinking. "Prove it." She let the silence stretch, then added softly, "You can't, because it never happened. But keep telling yourself that story if it helps you sleep." "Mr. Miller cleared his throat, trying to restore order. "This isn't helping anyone." "No." Anya agreed, standing. "It isn't. Which is why I'm withdrawing from this circus." She looked directly at Jack. "Consider our engagement over. Marry whoever you want. I'm done paying for your mistakes." She walked out without waiting for dessert. In the elevator down, she caught her reflection in the mirrored walls chin high, eyes steady, and felt something unlock inside her chest. Not relief yet, but space. Room to breathe for the first time in years. Later that night, she met Ryan Miller at a quiet wine bar in Tribeca. She had known about him in her first life whispers of an orphan the Millers supported generously. Private school tuition. Trust fund rumors. Only on her deathbed had she learned the full truth from a grieving Lisa Miller. Ryan was their biological son, switched at birth, discovered through a late DNA test. Jack had never known. Ryan arrived in a tailored navy suit, quieter than Jack, watchful eyes the same shade as his mother's. He slid into the booth opposite her. "You wanted to talk." Anya wasted no time. Jack's throwing away his inheritance for a woman who will leave the moment he's no longer useful. His health is deteriorating faster than anyone admits. You know what that means for the family empire. Ryan's expression didn't change, but his fingers tightened around the stem of his glass. "I'm just the charity case." "You're the heir they've been preparing in secret," Anya said flatly. "And I'm the only one outside the family who knows." She leaned forward. "Help me end this farce, and I'll make sure you take what's yours without a single lawsuit." Ryan studied her for a long moment. "Why help me?" "Because Jack deserves to lose everything he took for granted. And because I'm tired of watching good people suffer for his ego." She extended her hand across the table. After a beat, he shook it firm, decisive. A deal struck in shadows. The next weeks blurred into calculated moves. Anya quietly transferred evidence to a private investigator texts from Willa bragging about future wealth. Medical reports hinting at long-term complications from the unscreened blood. Recordings of Jack's rages. She fed just enough to Ryan for him to position himself closer to his parents. Volunteering to handle discreet company matters Jack had always dismissed as beneath him. Meanwhile, Jack and Willa grew bolder, posting engagement photos, leaking wedding plans to society pages. Anya watched from afar, liking none of it, commenting never. She rebuilt her own life instead, promoted at the investment firm where she worked, headhunted by competitors, building a reputation as the analyst who never missed. Nights belonged to Nina and New Circle's gallery openings, underground poker games, places Jack's crowd never ventured. She learned to enjoy power without apology. One evening, Ryan texted, "They've set a date. 1 month?" Anya replied, "Perfect." The wedding venue was the Plaza Grand Ballroom, orchids flown in from Hawaii, guest list heavy with finance titans and old New York families. Anya arrived alone in a blood-red gown that turned heads the moment she stepped through the doors. She took a seat near the back, champagne flute in hand, expression serene. The ceremony unfolded like a carefully staged fantasy. Willa glowed in couture lace. Jack stood tall despite the cane, smiling for cameras, as if the past month of fights and health scares had never happened. Vows were exchanged. Rings slipped on fingers. Applause thundered. Anya clapped politely, eyes never leaving the happy couple. Then came the reception. Guests mingled. Toasts began. Midway through dessert, Mrs. Miller took the microphone, elegant in midnight silk, arm linked with a young man no one recognized. Ryan. Music faded. Conversation died. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced, voice carrying effortlessly, "before we continue celebrating, my husband and I have an introduction to make." She smiled down at Ryan. "Many of you have heard rumors over the years about our support for a bright young orphan. Tonight, we set the record straight. This is Ryan Miller, our eldest son." A collective gasp rippled through the room. Phones rose instinctively. Jack froze mid-sentence to an investor, face draining of color. Willa's champagne flute trembled in her hand. "Mr. Miller stepped forward, calm and final. A hospital error decades ago. DNA confirmed it years later. Ryan has been part of our family ever since, learning the business quietly while Jack pursued other interests." Cameras flashed. Whispers exploded into open speculation. Jack pushed back from the head table. Cane clattering. "This is a joke." "No joke," his father said quietly. "You made your choices, son. You broke your engagement for love. You demanded we accept Willa or lose you. We're simply planning for the future." Willa recovered first, forcing a laugh. "Congratulations, I suppose. But nothing changes? Jack is recovering from serious complications." "Mrs. Miller cut in smoothly. "Ryan will assume day-to-day leadership of Miller Holdings effective immediately." The room erupted. Investors converged on Ryan with handshakes and cards. Jack tried to stand taller, but a sudden cough doubled him over, blood flecking his lips onto crisp white linen. Willa recoiled instinctively, disgust flashing across her face before she masked it. Anya saw it. So did half the room. Later that night, back at the Miller penthouse, chaos reigned. Jack screamed until vessels burst in his eyes. Willa hurled accusations. "You promised me everything. You're useless now," then packed Louis Vuitton cases with cash gifts and jewelry while he lay wheezing on the floor. By morning, she was gone. Private jet to some non-extradition country. Accounts already transferred. Jack's decline accelerated. Stroke. Left side paralysis. The unscreened blood finally claimed its full price. Confined to a hospital bed. He raged at nurses, at parents who visited less and less, at mirrors that showed a broken man. One gray afternoon, Anya visited, requested by a guilt-stricken Lisa Miller. She stood at the foot of his bed, immaculate in black wool, while he stared with sunken eyes. "You did this," he rasped. "If you'd donated clean blood, I saved you once." Anya interrupted, voice like steel wrapped in silk. "You repaid me with contempt for years. This isn't my doing, Jack, it's yours." He reached a trembling hand toward her. "We can start over. I was wrong. Please." Anya looked at the hand, then at the man attached to it, helpless, bitter, alone. "No," she said simply. "Some mistakes don't get second chances." She turned to leave. At the door, she paused. "Enjoy the view from the bed. It's permanent." Outside in the corridor, Ryan waited, leaning against the wall. He offered a small nod. "It's done. Shares transferred as agreed?" "Thank you." Anya adjusted her coat. "Don't thank me. Just run the company better than he ever could." She walked away, heels echoing down the polished hall, lighter than she had felt in 2 lifetimes. Winter settled over Manhattan like a judgment, streets glazed with ice, breath fogging in the sharp air. Anya's new office on the 42nd floor of a midtown tower overlooked Central Park, bare and silver under weak sunlight. Miller Holdings shares had hit her account weeks ago, 1%, clean, untouchable. Ryan kept his word. She used the dividend to seed her own fund, poaching top analysts Jack once tried to hire, building a portfolio that turned heads on Wall Street before spring even whispered. The city talked about Jack now in past tense. Tabloids feasted Golden Boy's fall. Paralyzed heir loses everything to secret brother. Photos showed him being wheeled into court for a deposition he never won. Face gaunt, eyes hollow. Willa's arrest made the covers next extradited after a careless layover in Dubai, charged with attempted murder for insurance fraud. Prosecutors had hotel security footage of her dragging a half-conscious Jack toward the hospital roof, his useless left arm trailing like dead weight. She confessed within hours, voice flat on the recording. He was worthless alive. The policies paid double if accidental. Life sentence, no parole. Anya read the headlines over coffee one morning and felt nothing close to triumph. Only the quiet click of balance restored. She testified once, remotely, calm and precise. The prosecutor asked if she harbored resentment. She answered, "Resentment requires energy I no longer spend on him." The clip went viral. Women messaged her by the thousands. "Thank you for saying it out loud." Lisa Miller called on a sleet-slick February evening, voice thin with grief and exhaustion. "He wants to see you. One last time." Anya stood at her window watching traffic crawl far below. "Tell him I'm busy living the life he tried to steal." Lisa didn't argue. The line went quiet. Then dead. Jack died alone 3 nights later. Official cause pulmonary embolism from immobility. Unofficial cause despair. He left no note, only a revoked will that tried and failed to disinherit Ryan. The Millers buried him in a private plot upstate, small service, no press. Ryan sent flowers to Anya's office with a card. Debt paid. Thank you for the truth. Society pages shifted focus overnight. Ryan Miller, the steady, unflashy heir, appeared at galas with his parents, guiding them through crowds they once dominated. Investors flocked. Stock rose. Willa's prison interviews tearful claims of abuse. Manipulation were dismissed as desperate theater. Public memory is short and unforgiving. Jack became the cautionary tale whispered at boardrooms. Never underestimate the cost of arrogance. Anya's own rise accelerated. Forbes listed her among 30 under 30. Who are changing finance? Panel invitations stacked up women in wealth, ethical investing, surviving toxic power. She accepted only the ones that mattered, spoke plainly, never played victim. On stage at a Columbia auditorium, a student asked how she forgave. Anya paused, then said, "I didn't. I outgrew the need." The room erupted. Nina threw a party when Anya's fund crossed $1 billion under management rooftop in Chelsea. String lights, old jazz drifting over the skyline. Half the guests were people Anya had met after cutting Jack loose. The other half were new allies drawn to her orbit. Ryan appeared late, suit impeccable, holding a bottle of 1996 Dom Perignon. "Congratulations," he said, handing it over. "The Empire's stable. Mom and Dad ask about you often." Anya accepted the bottle, but not the sentiment. "Tell them I wish them peace." He studied her a moment, then stepped closer. "Marry me, not for gratitude for partnership. We understand power the way few people do." The city sparkled behind him, indifferent and beautiful. Anya let the silence stretch just long enough for him to feel it. "I don't want a partner who sees me as strategy," she said softly. "And I don't need one at all." She touched his arm once, brief and final. "Be extraordinary on your own." "Ryan, you already are." He nodded, no bitterness, only respect. They drank the champagne as friends and never spoke of it again. 2 summers later, Anya stood on a terrace in Amagansett, salt wind tugging her linen dress, watching waves crash against dunes. She had bought the house cash, modern glass walls, endless ocean view, no neighbors close enough to hear anything but gulls. Weekends here were hers alone, long runs on the beach, books stacked on every surface, music loud enough to drown memory. Daniel Reyes entered her life sideways. He had prosecuted Willa's case, meticulous and unflinching, the kind of lawyer who read people faster than depositions. Their paths crossed again when he lectured at a conference Anya keynoted. Afterward, he found her at the coffee bar. "Your testimony was the cleanest I've ever heard," he said without preamble. "No rage, no tears, just truth." She smiled over her cup. "Rage is expensive." He laughed, low and genuine. "Dinner sometime, no agenda." They took it slow, months of dinners that stretched into mornings, conversations that never circled back to Jack or the past unless she invited them. Daniel carried his own scars, a childhood in foster care, a brother lost to addiction, ambition forged in survival. He didn't worship her strength. He matched it. When she woke from rare nightmares, he held her without questions. And when she closed multi-million deals, he grilled steaks on the terrace to celebrate. One August evening, they walked the beach at sunset, barefoot, jeans rolled against the tide. Daniel stopped, dug something from his pocket, a simple platinum band. No diamond, just etched coordinates of the spot where they'd had their first real kiss. "I'm not asking because you need me," he said. "I'm asking because I want every ordinary day with you." Anya looked at the ring, then at him, steady brown eyes, wind-ruffled hair, the faintest uncertainty in his smile. She thought of Jack's contempt, Ryan's calculated offer, every man who had seen her as leverage or trophy. Then she thought of mornings making coffee together, quiet arguments over playlists, the way Daniel listened like her words were the only verdict that mattered. "Yes," she said, voice clear over the waves. "But on one condition. Name it. We build a life, not a dynasty." He slid the ring on, kissed her slow and certain, salt on their lips and horizon burning gold. Across the city, in a quiet cemetery upstate, Jack's stone gathered moss. The Millers visited monthly, older now, leaning on Ryan's arm. Lisa sometimes left white roses and whispered apologies to the wind. Ryan had married a pediatrician, soft-spoken and kind. They were expecting their first child. The Empire thrived under his careful hand. Scandals buried deep, profits shared with charities Jack would have mocked. Karma, Anya learned, was not always thunder. Sometimes it was simply consequence arriving late, but exact Jack's hatred turned inward until it consumed him. Willa's greed caged behind bars. The Millers' regret a private weight carried to old age. On her wedding day, small, barefoot on that same beach, only closest friends and Nina officiating Anya wore white silk that caught the breeze like sails. Daniel waited under a driftwood arch, eyes shining. When vows were done and guests cheered with raised glasses of champagne, Anya looked out at the ocean and felt the last knot inside her loosen. She had not forgiven, she had transcended. Years later, when young analysts asked her secret in boardrooms or podcasts, she gave the same answer I stopped waiting for justice to be served. I became the one who decides what I deserve. And every night, in the house above the dunes, she slept deeply, windows open to the sound of waves erasing footprints in sandproof that some things, once washed away, never return.